She stood in the doorway of his modest apartment, tears streaming down her face. "I never wanted you to find out this way," she whispered, her designer coat suddenly seeming out of place in his simple living room. Jake stared at the newspaper headline on his coffee table, "Tech mogul Miranda Chen spotted with mystery man." His own face stared back at him from the grainy photo. "Why didn't you tell me who you really were?" If this story already has you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories of unexpected love and life-changing encounters. Your support helps us bring these heartwarming stories to life. 3 weeks earlier, Jake Peterson was rushing through his morning routine. At 34, he had perfected the art of getting himself and his 8-year-old daughter Emma ready in record time. The tiny kitchen in their 2-bedroom apartment buzzed with their familiar dance, him making breakfast and packing lunch while Emma gathered her school supplies. "Dad, you forgot to sign my permission slip again," Emma said, sliding a crumpled paper across the counter. Jake ran a hand through his disheveled brown hair. "Sorry, pumpkin. Let me see that." He quickly scrawled his signature, mind already racing through his packed schedule. Drop Emma at school, rush to the auto repair shop where he worked as a mechanic, pick up Emma from after-school care, make dinner, help with homework, and somehow find time to pay bills that kept piling up. Since his wife Sarah passed away from cancer 3 years ago, Jake had been both mother and father to Emma. The grief had softened with time, but the weight of responsibility never lightened. Every decision, every dollar, every minute of his day revolved around giving Emma the best life possible with what little they had. "We're going to be late," Emma announced, already standing by the door with her backpack. Jake grabbed his keys and followed his daughter out, locking their apartment door behind him. The morning drop-off line at Westbrook Elementary was moving painfully slow. Jake drummed his fingers against the steering wheel, checking the time every few seconds. "Dad, I need $20 for the field trip next week," Emma said, rummaging through her backpack. Jake's stomach tightened. $20 meant skipping lunch for the next few days or delaying the electric bill payment even further. "Sure thing, Em. I'll give it to you tonight." When they finally reached the front of the line, Emma leaned over to give him a quick kiss on the cheek. "Love you, Dad. Don't forget you promised to help with my science project tonight." "Love you too, pumpkin. Have a great day." Jake watched her skip toward the entrance, her dark ponytail bouncing with each step. She looked so much like Sarah it sometimes took his breath away. As Jake pulled away from the school, his check engine light flickered on. "Not now," he muttered, making a mental note to look at it during his lunch break. His phone buzzed with a text from his boss, "Henderson's Porsche coming in. Need you to handle it." Jake sighed. Rich clients always expected special treatment, and Henderson was notorious for being difficult. Just another day in paradise. The auto repair shop was already bustling when Jake arrived. He quickly changed into his coveralls and got to work, losing himself in the familiar comfort of engines and tools. This was where he felt most confident, under the hood of a car, solving problems with his hands. "Peterson. Henderson's here with the Porsche," his boss called out around noon. Jake wiped his hands on a rag and walked to the front. Instead of the grumpy old businessman he expected, he found a woman leaning against the counter, typing rapidly on her phone. She wore simple jeans and a plain black sweater, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. Nothing about her screamed Porsche owner, except maybe the quiet confidence in her posture. "Mr. Henderson?" Jake asked, confused. She looked up, an amused smile playing on her lips. "Ms. Chen, actually. Miranda Chen. I borrowed Jeremy Henderson's car while mine's being serviced elsewhere. Now it's making this strange noise." Her eyes were warm brown and direct, lacking the condescension Jake often faced from wealthy clients. Something about her seemed familiar, though he couldn't place it. "I'm Jake. Let me take a look at that for you." As they walked to the car, Miranda asked, "Have you worked here long?" "About 5 years. Been fixing cars since I was a teenager, though. She nodded appreciatively. I admire people who are good with their hands. I spend most of my time staring at screens and spreadsheets. Jake popped the hood and began examining the engine. What do you do? I run a company, she said vaguely. Nothing nearly as tangible as what you do. They fell into easy conversation as Jake diagnosed the problem, a loose belt that was quick to fix. He found himself enjoying her company, something rare in his interaction with customers. Miranda asked thoughtful questions about his work, genuinely interested in his explanations without pretending to understand the technical details. When he finished, Miranda seemed almost disappointed. That was fast. What do I owe you? Jake waved her off. On the house. It was a simple fix. I insist on paying for your time, she said firmly. Buy me a coffee sometime, then, Jake said, surprising himself with his boldness. He hadn't asked anyone out since Sarah died. Miranda's eyes widened slightly before her face broke into a genuine smile. Actually, will you be my date this weekend? There's this new restaurant I've been wanting to try. Jake hesitated. His weekend routine was sacred: Saturday mornings with Emma at the park, grocery shopping, laundry, meal prep for the week. But something about Miranda made him want to say yes. I'd need to find a sitter for my daughter, he said cautiously. You have a daughter? How wonderful. What's her name? The interest in Miranda's voice seemed genuine. Emma. She's 8 going on 30, Jake said with a proud smile. I'd love to hear about her. So, is that a yes? Jake found himself nodding. Yes. It's a date. They exchanged numbers, and Miranda drove away in Henderson's Porsche, leaving Jake wondering what had just happened. He hadn't been on a date in years, and now he was going out with a woman who casually drove a borrowed Porsche. That evening, after dinner and during Emma's bath time, Jake called his sister-in-law Beth to ask if she could watch Emma on Saturday night. A date? You? Who is she? Beth's excitement was palpable even through the phone. Just a customer from the shop. Her name is Miranda. About time you got back out there, Jake. Sarah would want you to be happy. Jake's throat tightened at the mention of his late wife. It's just dinner, Beth. Don't plan the wedding yet. But as Saturday approached, Jake found himself increasingly nervous. He told Emma about the date during their morning pancake ritual. Like a girlfriend date? Emma asked, eyes wide with syrup-sticky fingers. Just a dinner date. To make a new friend, Jake clarified carefully. Emma considered this while chewing. Is she pretty? Jake smiled. Yes, she is. And she seems nice. Mom was pretty and nice, Emma said matter-of-factly, returning to her pancakes. Jake's heart squeezed. Yes, she was the prettiest and nicest. It's okay, Dad, Emma said with the simple wisdom of children. Mom told me before she went to heaven that you should find someone to make you smile again. Jake blinked back sudden tears. When did she tell you that? When you were getting coffee in the hospital. She made me promise to take care of you and to let you be happy again. Emma said this as casually as discussing homework, unaware of the emotional earthquake she'd just caused in her father. Saturday evening arrived, and Jake stood before his mirror, frowning at his reflection. He'd ironed his best button-down shirt and dusted off his only pair of decent shoes. Beth arrived early, bringing a small makeup bag. Your under-eye circles need help, she declared, dabbing concealer under his eyes despite his protests. When the doorbell rang at 7 p.m. sharp, Jake's heart jumped to his throat. He opened the door to find Miranda looking effortlessly elegant in a simple black dress, her hair flowing loose around her shoulders. Hi, she said, suddenly seeming shy. Hi, he echoed, feeling like a teenager. Beth appeared behind him with Emma in tow. You must be Miranda. I'm Beth, Jake's sister-in-law, and this is Emma. Miranda knelt to Emma's level. I've heard wonderful things about you, Emma. Your dad says you're working on a science project? Emma's face lit up. It's about the solar system. Dad helped me make Saturn's rings out of old CDs. That sounds amazing. I'd love to see it sometime. The simple interaction settled something in Jake's chest. Miranda passed the most important test. She spoke to his daughter like a person, not an accessory. The restaurant Miranda had chosen was upscale but not pretentious. Jake was grateful she hadn't picked somewhere that would make him feel completely out of place. Still, he noticed the host's slight double-take when Miranda gave her name, and the special attention from the staff throughout the evening. Do you come here often? Jake asked after they were seated at what was clearly the best table in the house. First time, actually. I've been meaning to try it. Miranda studied the menu with genuine interest. Their conversation flowed easily. Jake found himself sharing stories about Emma, his work, and even tentatively about Sarah. Miranda listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions without prying. When Jake asked about her work, Miranda was surprisingly vague. I started a tech company several years ago. It's grown more than I expected. What does it do? We develop accessibility software. Making technology more usable for people with disabilities. Her eyes lit up as she explained some of their projects. Jake was impressed. That's meaningful work. You must be proud. I am. Though sometimes I miss the early days when I was actually coding instead of sitting in meetings all day. The evening passed in a comfortable blur of good food and better conversation. Jake couldn't remember the last time he'd laughed so much or felt so present with someone new. When Miranda insisted on paying the bill, he initially resisted. Please, she said. You fixed the car for free. Let me get dinner. As they walked to her car, a surprisingly modest sedan, not the Porsche, Jake gathered his courage. I had a really good time tonight. Me too. Me too, Miranda said, looking up at him with those warm brown eyes. Would you like to come over for dinner next weekend? Nothing fancy, just me cooking. You could meet Emma properly. Miranda's face brightened. I'd love that. Their goodnight was a simple hug, but it left Jake feeling more alive than he had in years. As he watched her drive away, he realized he hadn't asked for her last name or what company she ran. Somehow it hadn't seemed important. The week that followed was filled with texts between them, little observations about their days, jokes, and getting-to-know-you questions. Jake found himself smiling at his phone so often that his coworkers started teasing him. On Friday, while taking his lunch break, Jake scrolled through news on his phone. A headline caught his eye: Chen Technologies CEO makes Forbes 40 under 40 list again. The photo showed Miranda in a business suit, looking confident and polished, standing in front of a sleek office building. The article described her as the self-made tech millionaire revolutionizing accessibility software. Jake nearly dropped his phone. The woman he'd been texting, the woman who'd eaten pasta and laughed at his bad jokes, was a millionaire CEO. The article mentioned her net worth, a number with so many zeros it made Jake's head spin. That evening, he cleaned the apartment with unusual intensity, his mind racing. Should he cancel? Was this some kind of joke? Why would someone like her be interested in someone like him? Emma sensed his anxiety. Is your friend still coming for dinner, Dad? Yes, pumpkin. But, she's a very important person, it turns out. Emma considered this. Like a princess? Jake laughed despite himself. Sort of. She runs a big company and has a lot of money. Does that make you sad? Emma asked perceptively. Not sad, just surprised. Emma patted his hand. Mom always said it's what's in your heart that matters, not what's in your wallet. Jake pulled his daughter into a hug. When did you get so wise? Saturday arrived, and Jake had prepared Emma's favorite spaghetti and meatballs, with a salad and garlic bread. Nothing fancy, but made with care. At precisely 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. Miranda stood there holding a bouquet of daisies and a small gift bag. She looked different from their restaurant date, more casual in jeans and a sweater, more like the woman he'd met at the shop. "These are for you," she said, handing him the flowers. "And this is for Emma." She held out the gift bag. Jake invited her in, suddenly hyper-aware of their modest apartment with its mismatched furniture and worn carpet. If Miranda noticed, she gave no indication, instead kneeling to greet Emma who had appeared from her bedroom. "I brought you something," Miranda said, offering the bag to Emma. "Your dad mentioned you love space." Emma opened the bag to find a small telescope. Her eyes widened in delight. "My very own telescope." "Thank you, Ms. Miranda." "You're welcome. Maybe we can look at the stars together sometime." Dinner went surprisingly well. Emma dominated the conversation, telling Miranda about school, her friends, and her extensive collection of rocks. Miranda listened with genuine interest, asking questions that showed she was truly paying attention. After Emma went to bed, Jake and Miranda sat on the sofa with cups of coffee. The moment felt intimate and comfortable, but Jake couldn't ignore the elephant in the room. "So, Chen Technologies. That's quite an accomplishment." Miranda's cup paused halfway to her lips. "You looked me up. I saw an article by accident. Why didn't you tell me?" She set her cup down carefully. "Because the moment people find out, everything changes. They either want something from me or they treat me differently." Her eyes met his, vulnerable and honest. "I liked how you talked to me like a normal person." "I'm just a mechanic," Jake said quietly. "A single dad living paycheck to paycheck. Our worlds are completely different." "Are they?" Miranda challenged. "We both work too much. We both value honesty and kindness. We both light up when talking about the things we love." She moved closer. "The money doesn't define me, Jake. It's just a tool, not who I am. But everyone will think." "I don't care what everyone thinks. I care what you think." "What Emma thinks." Jake looked at her, really looked at her. Beyond the successful CEO was a woman who laughed at his jokes, who knelt to talk to his daughter at eye level, who noticed when he needed a moment to collect himself when speaking about Sarah. "I think I'd like to keep getting to know you. The real you." Miranda's smile was worth more than her millions. "That's all I want too." Their relationship developed slowly over the following weeks. Miranda joined their weekend routines, pancake breakfasts, trips to the park, grocery shopping. She never tried to impress them with her wealth, instead fitting herself into their lives with genuine interest and care. The first complication came a month later. A tabloid somehow got wind of Miranda's new relationship and published that grainy photo with the sensational headline. Reporters started appearing outside Jake's apartment and the auto shop. Emma came home from school crying because classmates were asking if she was rich now. "I'm so sorry," Miranda said, standing in Jake's doorway with that newspaper. "I never wanted you to find out this way. I never wanted this to affect Emma." Jake pulled her inside, away from the photographer lingering on the sidewalk. His initial shock had turned to anger, not at Miranda, but at the invasion of their privacy. "It's not your fault," he assured her. "But it is. My life comes with this. I should have warned you." They sat together on his sofa, the newspaper between them. Jake took her hand. "Tell me everything now. No more surprises." Miranda told him her full story, growing up in a middle-class family, coding from age 12, starting her company in a garage with student loan money. The success had been unexpected and overwhelming. She had wealth but few real connections. People either wanted to use her or placed her on an untouchable pedestal. The day we met was the first time in years someone just treated me like a normal person, she admitted. You didn't fawn or flatter. You just fixed the car and made a bad joke about Porsches. Jake squeezed her hand. We'll figure this out. The reporters will get bored eventually. But the media attention created real problems. Emma's school called about paparazzi lingering near the playground. Jake's boss was frustrated by photographers disrupting business. Their peaceful life had been upended. After a particularly difficult day, Jake sat Emma down. How would you feel about moving to a place where people won't bother us so much? Emma frowned. Because of Ms. Miranda's money? Because some people care too much about her money and don't respect our privacy. Emma thought about it seriously. Would I have to change schools? Maybe. But we'd make sure you love the new school. Would Ms. Miranda come with us? Jake hesitated. That's something we'd need to talk about. That conversation happened the next evening. Miranda came over after Emma was asleep, looking exhausted and worried. I have a suggestion, she said cautiously. I have a house outside the city. Very private, good schools nearby. There's a guest house on the property where you and Emma could stay until you decide what you want to do long term. Jake's pride flared. I can't let you support us. It's not about supporting you. It's about giving us space to figure this out without cameras in our faces. She took his hands. I'm falling in love with you, Jake. With both of you. But I need to know if you can handle my life, because I can't change who I am. The admission stunned him into silence. Love. The word he'd been carefully avoiding thinking. I don't want to change who you are, he finally said. You're amazing, your success, your mind, your heart. None of that intimidates me. He paused. But I need to support my family my way. I need Emma to see that her dad can stand on his own feet. Miranda's eyes shone with understanding. What if I told you the auto shop near my house needs an experienced mechanic? They've been looking for months. The solution wasn't perfect, but it was a start. 2 weeks later, Jake and Emma moved into the guest house. Jake started work at the local auto shop, which turned out to be a busy, well-respected business where his skills were valued and fairly compensated. Emma adapted to her new school with the resilience of childhood, especially once she made friends with a girl who shared her love of science. Miranda gave them space, never pushing or rushing their adjustment. She invited them for dinners, joined them for weekend activities, but always respected the boundaries Jake established. They were building something real, a relationship based on who they were, not what they had. 6 months after that first date, Jake and Emma moved into the main house. A year later, under a sky full of stars viewed through Emma's treasured telescope, Jake proposed. Miranda said yes immediately, tears streaming down her face. Their wedding was small and private, with Emma proudly serving as both flower girl and ring bearer. In her vows, Miranda thanked Jake for seeing her, not her success. In his, Jake thanked her for showing him that love could happen twice in a lifetime. Life wasn't perfect. They navigated challenges, the occasional media intrusion, the logistics of blending their different worlds, Jake's insistence on contributing financially to their household. But through it all, they remembered what mattered, the family they were building, the love they shared, and the simple moments that made life meaningful. 5 years after that chance meeting at the auto shop, Miranda, Jake, and Emma sat on their porch swing, watching the sunset. Emma, now a teenager interested in both engineering and astronomy, was explaining her latest science project to them both. Jake's arm rested comfortably around Miranda's shoulders, her head leaned against him. Did you ever imagine we'd end up here? Miranda asked quietly. Jake smiled, thinking of the long, winding road that had brought them together. Not in my wildest dreams. But now I can't imagine being anywhere else. The true beauty of their story wasn't that a single dad found a millionaire CEO. It was that two people looking past labels and expectations found genuine love. They discovered that real connections aren't built on bank accounts or job titles, but on shared values, mutual respect, and the courage to be vulnerable with each other. In a world obsessed with status and wealth, they chose to see each other's hearts instead. And in doing so, they built something far more valuable than any fortune, a family bound by love, understanding, and the daily choice to put each other first. If you found this story touching, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us of what truly matters in life. Sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to our greatest blessings, and the most meaningful wealth can't be measured in dollars.